When I was a kid, I can't remember a time when my little sister wasn't around, you know, like I was a little March Aries baby, and she was a November Scorpio baby. And there was like a year in between. So what is that? Carry the one? No, we're not doing math today, Bishop. Anyway, my little sister, you know, she was always there. And fast forward, I was about 9 years old when my little brother came along. So he became my best friend. Until a short time later, I met my actual best friend who lived right down the street. And then we had our neighborhood gang of friends. We would do the role-playing games. And then came Amanda, and I had her whole gang of friends too in my cool room. So it was only when I returned from Florida and the crash of my grandma's car when I became stuck. Like in my dad's basement, stuck. No friends. It very much felt like a prison. You know, I was in this jail cell and I didn't have a job for a while, no car, no friends, no roommates, you know, just very much alone. And this was like the first time in my life that I was that kind of alone, you know. My dad, who is an only child, has no problem being alone. He's awesome. But for me, being surrounded by other people all my life, I can remember too when I was just a boy, my dad used to love football, and his favorite football team was the Michigan Wolverines. I don't know if you guys know this, but in American college football, the Michigan Wolverines have an arch enemy, a nemesis, the hated ones. They were the Ohio State Buckeyes. The state of Michigan and Ohio, they are neighbors. And a long, long time ago, what happened was the city in between Michigan and Ohio was called Toledo. And for the longest time, Michigan claimed Toledo, said, no, 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 it's our city. And Ohio came along and said, no, 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 that's our city. And they argued, fought about it, and eventually Ohio took the city of Toledo. They drew the line and said, there you go. Toledo belongs to Ohio. So Michigan developed this anger, this hatred, and in the college sport of football, they took it out on each other. And I would sit on my dad's lap, and I would cheer for Michigan, and we would laugh and scream and yell touchdown. And then every once in a while, sometimes we'd cry if Ohio won. Bad, evil Ohio. The first word that my dad taught me how to spell out loud was Michigan. I was 3 years old, and people would say, Bishop, you can spell? And I'd be like, Michigan. Go blue. That was me, right? I was just this kid. So fast forward again, my dad says, no Mandy at the house. And this one just crushed me, you know. I understood, I guess, but in the back of my mind, I couldn't help but be a little bit resentful, you know. Dad, she's still a person. Dad, I know she's young, but she needs our help, you know. She needs me. I need her. So, Dad, you just can't take away my girlfriend. You just can't. I don't know. It was such a difficult situation for all of us, you know, my dad, me, and Mandy. And it just, I had seen enough movies and TV and role-playing games to know that if you were stuck in a prison, you know, there was a way out. There was always a way out. You just had to be smart enough. So I sort of found a way out, you know. I saw my grandma's checkbook. I saw the amount of money she had. And guys, I didn't just wake up one day and decide to become a bad guy. I didn't want to be a thief. But the thing that really broke me, the thing I couldn't get around, was the fact that my dad didn't want to be responsible for his own mother. He was going to let me walk in one day and find her dead body, you know, lying on her bathroom floor, trapped, wedged in between her little toilet and her bathtub. And I just, no thanks, Dad. So no, you want to take away my girlfriend? You want me to be responsible for your mother? And then the open invitation from Mandy's aunt and uncle in Columbus, hey, Bishop, stop by whenever. Well, Dad, I'm going to go. I'm going to take some money. I'm going to get out of this jail. And you deal with your mother. And you pay for my loan. I didn't want to, but at the same time, I did want to. Guys, I'm not trying to justify anything. I'm not trying to be rational here. I was 21 years old. You know, I spent my 21st birthday in Columbus with Mandy. They got me a Krispy Kreme donut, which I'd never had before, which are little candle in it to celebrate my 21st birthday. So yeah, I'm going to go, and I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm just going to disappear, and you can pick up all the pieces, you know? So looking back, Mandy, she gets the credit for making me an Ohio State Buckeye. I loved her. I still love her, my little Sagittarius. But my dad, he gets a lot of the credit too. Go Buckeyes. I think every day that I woke up in Columbus, I was happy. I was a new man, you know, big city, new city. There was always something to go and see, and there was no ghosts, you know, or there was very few, I guess, you know, just the places that I had gone with Mandy. And deep down inside, like, I still believed that one day Mandy was going to come along and we were going to be happily ever after. So yeah, no real ghosts. In November of 1997, Dwayne and Tracy, they let me stay in their basement again. And they had a friend, his name was Jake. Jake owned a company of, I don't know how to describe it. They were like contracted laborers. So these laborers would get paid, I don't know, it was tricky. It was like under the table, right? You didn't have to pay your taxes, or Jake was special. There's a warehouse called Value City where they stock all kinds of stuff. Furniture, pillows, towels. It's like home furnishings, I guess. So my job, as soon as I arrived and I started working for Jake, was I would go into these semi-trailers and empty them, piece by piece, by hand, take a box, put it on a pallet, take another box, put it on a pallet, all day, every day. And after I got done, each trailer paid me $50. Some days it was easy, you know, if you had like boxes full of pillows, they were pretty light. Keep in mind, guys, these pillows came from like China, Philippines, Indonesia. Other times, if you had boxes of blinds, oh my gosh, we're talking these long, skinny curtain things that you put up on your slider door. These boxes were heavy, they were long, they were hard to manage, and they had little stickers on them. So you had to put a particular box of blinds on a particular pallet with the others of its kind, and you couldn't mix them up. They had to be, you know, brown here, white there, yellow over there, whatever. So very physical work, sometimes very agonizing, but I did it with a smile because I was in Columbus. I was starting my life over, you know. I felt like I was noticing some differences too with Dwayne and Tracy in Ohio and Jerry and Bob in Florida. Number one, I had brought some of my grandma's money, or enough to offer like $100 a week, you know, an extra $100 a week, which was a lot. In late 90s, that was actual money, you know, not like it is today. Number two, Dwayne and Tracy didn't have kids. And I think to them, it was almost like they adopted a stray for a little while, you know. But I was kind of useful, you know, as exhausted as I might have been from the work and the physical labor all day. I wanted to please. So I remember one weekend they needed a new roof. So I climbed up on the roof and I helped tear down old shingles, and I helped pick up old shingles, and if they needed their motorcycles moved in the garage, I would physically pick up the rear of a motorcycle and move it over 6 inches, you know. I had my Nintendo 64 and I let Dwayne put it in his garage so we could play video games while we were smoking. I don't know, it was such a difference. you know, and I was so happy because I succeeded. I did something. And maybe my mom was right, you know. You try things in life and you roll the dice, and sometimes it doesn't work and you fail. But even from my role-playing games, when you did fail, you still gain some experience. And going to Columbus, hitting the reset button on my life, this time I had some experience. So it was just magical. I found a job right away. I had my car. I had roommates, and yeah. That first Ohio State-Michigan game that I watched in Columbus, I remember I went out and I bought a big old Ohio State sweatshirt. And I was proud to support my new team, you know. I think at the end of the game, the team up north, we're not supposed to say their name. We don't say their name. The team up north, they beat us, but I didn't care. I was happy. It was a new world, you know. New team, new Bishop. That game takes place every November, and something else that happens in November is Mandy's birthday. So if you're an early November baby, then you're a Scorpio like my sister. And if you're a later in November birthday, you're a Sagittarius. So I called Mandy and I said, "Hey girl, happy birthday. How are you? How are things?" She says, "Oh, you know, they're okay." I said, I'm down here in Columbus. I'm with your aunt and uncle and I'm doing it. You know, I got a job. I'm making money. I got my car. Are you ready? Do you want to come down yet? No, not really. I don't know. I just, not yet. And I get the feeling that she just didn't want to talk about it. She didn't want to talk to me. And I don't know, you know, maybe we were too badly burned from what happened, you know. We did have some drama. That's the thing about fires, is sometimes there's drama. And maybe this is something that my dad saw, you know. He knew that it wasn't gonna be like happily ever after. I don't know. It's only that when I look back that I can see this. I think maybe Mandy just realized that I was difficult. I was a difficult kind of guy to love, you know. I was always trying to be high, always trying to escape. I always had this ticking time bomb in the back of my head. A short time later, I met another one of Tracy and Dwayne's gang of friends. I don't mean gang like guns and knives and drugs, okay? It was probably a lot like my gang of friends. You know, we were bound together by the weed, the role-playing games, and for Dwayne and Tracy, they were motorcycle riders. So they probably had a lot of friends that just rode the bike. So this guy, they called him Brother Bill. I'm not sure why he got the nickname Brother. Brother Bill had returned to town from parts unknown and also needed a job, so he came to work with me, and Jake did the same arrangement, you know, paid him under the table. I learned that Brother Bill had lost his driver's license, so he needed a ride to work, and I was close by, and we worked the same place, pretty much the same shift. Hey, Brother Bill, you know, I'll give you a ride. He was an older guy, so I just kind of felt bad that, you know, he didn't have his license, because that was something I had never experienced, right? I may have had no car at times, but to have no license, it's kind of the same. So I gave him a ride to work for a while, and one day he says, "Hey Bishop, I've been staying with my mom in her house. It's pretty close to Dwayne and Tracy's. She's got an empty room upstairs. You know, maybe you could rent it from her." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, Bill, you've got a room for rent? You're shitting me. And I can smoke inside?" "Oh yeah, you can smoke whatever you want." Bill smoked the green, he drank the alcohol, he smoked the cigarettes, a lot of cigarettes. I asked Dwayne and Tracy, I was like, "Hey, is this okay, you know?" And Dwayne looked at me and he was like, "Bishop, you're a cool guy. We thank you for all that you've done. It's been mutual, but you, friend, are a tradable asset." Which meant that if he gave me to Brother Bill, like he would gain some sort of favor or maybe pay off an old debt. I don't know. But either way, you know, Brother Bill was happy to have me. I was a ride to work and back, and I paid his mother rent. So it was a mutually good arrangement, I guess. I learned some stuff about Brother Bill. He had been in Vietnam. He had seen some horrible stuff. He had done some horrible stuff. He had some stories. If you think my stories are crazy, he was also in the Gulf of Mexico on a fishing boat, or are we calling it the Gulf of America now? I don't know. So he was on a fishing boat one day, and guys, I don't know the parts of a boat. I'm not a boat kind of guy, but like the pole, one of the poles, holding the flag thingy, the fly part. Anyway, it swings, right? It's the, yeah. Anyway, Brother Bill was doing his job. He was out fishing, and this pole hit him in the back of the head and knocked him unconscious, and he fell into the water unconscious. So his coworkers had to jump in and fish him out and CPR him back to life. So from that accident, he had some brain damage. I don't know. I don't want to call him, he didn't seem, you know, weird or special or different to me. He was just kind of maybe forgetful. I don't know. I learned that he had applied for medical disability through Social Security, and he was just waiting on the okay. You know, I guess this is a long process. So I don't know. We worked. We came home. We smoked. We drank. Bill introduced me to pizza with everything, including anchovies, which I had never had before. Guys, pizza when it's got like 1.5 inches of toppings on it, and you put the anchovies on it. Oh. Hi guys. Are we nice? We're friends? Hi. Huh? In the backyard of Brother Bill's mother's place, there was this really old beat to shit Ford pickup truck. And if you were a truck person, this one was called a 3/4 ton. It was a monster. It was a big old beast. Big, just brown, yellow, ugly looking thing, but it had a big old truck. Oh, that's cool. There's always something. Anyway, there was this big old truck, big cab, or I forget what they call it. It's the part that covers the bed of the truck. I said, "Hey, Brother Bill, is that your truck?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "Does it still run?" Yeah. Well, hey, I've got a bunch of furniture. I've got a bed up in Michigan. I was just, you know, maybe I could borrow it sometime and make a trip, and you know, I'll pay for the gas, and it you know. He says, "Oh, sure, why not, you know? Go ahead." So our work had gotten slow, and it really sucked when it was slow because of the way that I was paid and the way that my roommate Bill was paid. Sometimes if there weren't truck trailers to unload, sometimes you were just sitting there waiting and you didn't get paid for it. So there was one week, Jake said, "Hey, you can take Friday off if you want." I said, "Awesome. Bill, can I still borrow the truck?" "Yep, go ahead, take it." So I've got an extra day. I could make a 3-day weekend out of going back to Michigan, grabbing my stuff, filling up Bill's truck, and you know, make it back in time for work at Monday. Sorry guys, it's kind of loud here. So there was only one problem. I wanted to leave on a Thursday night. I was all motivated. I was in a hurry, and payday is not till Friday. This was back in the day when you could not do direct deposit. You had to wait until the boss handed you a piece of paper. It was a little rectangle, and you had to take this piece of paper to somewhere that they would cash it for you. And in exchange with the cashing, they took $5, whatever. I thought, I don't need that. I can just wait. And as soon as I get to Michigan, somebody will spot me some money because I'm good for it. I can pay it back, right? I've got the job. I've got the money. So I jumped in Bill's truck. I grabbed some stuff, some supplies, and I started driving. And it was late Thursday night. I think I got right across the border. Yeah, right across the border. And then all of a sudden I looked down and Bill's truck ran out of gas. And I was like, oh shit, how could this have happened? So I'm scrambling around looking for loose change, empty pop cans. There's this thing in Michigan, it's recycling. If you bring a pop can back to a store, they will give you 10 cents for every empty container. In Ohio, it didn't work like that. But it didn't really matter because you could just show them a pop can, they'd say, okay, throw it in the pile, and they'd give you 10 cents worth. So on the side of the road, in a little crappy town called White Pigeon, which isn't really a town, I think there's one intersection with one light, I start walking. Throw on the four ways on Bill's truck, go to the nearest gas station. I've got about $4 in change in pop cans, which, $4 is not much, but it's something, right? So I buy like a little plastic gas container for $2, and I put about $2 worth of gas in my new plastic gas container. And I'm walking back to Bill's truck, and guys, it's dark, it's late. I had been smoking plenty. I was tired, I was excited to go get my stuff. And I reach Bill's truck, and I open the nozzle to my new gas container, and I start to refuel, but something's not right. Like the gas is like leaking all over. It's like getting all over the side. It's puddling down at my feet, and I can't see what I'm doing. It's so dark. So I set the gas tank down, the gas can, and I'm reaching for anything. I don't have a flashlight. There's no cell phones. I've got no way of seeing what's going on, but something's clearly wrong because the gas just isn't going in the spot. So I make one of my not so smart decisions of my life, and I reach in my pocket and I pull out my Bic lighter because this is really the only source of light that I have, And I'm thinking, okay, Bishop, we got to be careful here. This is gasoline and a lighter. But, I'm cautious, so I take a couple steps back. I spark my Bic and I hold it up, and I'm trying to look, is there a problem with the gas, the opening? Is there something clogging it? What's going on here? I take a step forward, and boom, the air in front of me ignites. It's like this big fireball, and all of a sudden the gas is on fire. Like the side of the truck is on fire, the puddle at the bottom of the truck is on fire, and I'm going, oh shit. Oh, big shit now. I'm scrambling. I'm grabbing cans of Mountain Dew. I'm shaking them up and dumping Mountain Dew. It's just not doing it. I'm grabbing chunks of ice, chunks of snow, trying to, put out the fire. Just not working. So at some point, a police officer from the state of Michigan comes rolling on up behind me. He's got his lights on. He's got his sirens on. He gets on the microphone in his vehicle and he says, "Step away from the vehicle." And I'm like, oh, no. So I run over towards his window. I said, it's not going to blow up. It's not going to explode. Do you have a fire extinguisher, right? He says, okay. So he jumps out, grabs his fire extinguisher, goes up to the truck, sprays and sprays and sprays until the fire's out. And oh my gosh. So he checks my license, checks the paperwork. It's all legal. I don't know. He says, what are you doing here? I'm trying to get to Grand Rapids, Well, what are you doing now? I don't know. I don't have money to have it towed. I got nothing. The cop says, well, we can put you in a little hotel down the street. I'll give you a voucher, and we're going to have your vehicle towed. It can't stay here. It can't stay here. Here's the number where it's going to be. So I go spend the night in a hotel, and I am freaking out. What did I do? Is Bill's truck going to die? Am I going to be in trouble? I'm pretty much homeless in this tiny town. Didn't tell anyone I was coming. So in the morning, I call my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I was trying to come to Grand Rapids. I was going to say hi to you for a little bit, but I'm stuck, and can you come pick me up? She says, no, Bishop, I'm sorry, I can't. Okay, so I'm hitchhiking. I got to get to Grand Rapids. I got to borrow some money. You know, I got to pay off this. I got to, like they charged me to tow my truck, Bill's truck. So in order to get it out, I have to pay them. Crazy. Okay, I guess I'm hitchhiking now, right? I don't have any choice. I don't have any money. I stick my little thumb out and I start walking. And for the first time in my life, I hitchhike. I got 3 different rides from 3 different people, all the way up to a place called Kalamazoo. Kalamazoo. So from Kalamazoo, I call my mom, and it's only about an hour from Grand Rapids. So she says, "Okay, fine, Bishop. You what? You hitchhiked?" "Yep." "Mom, I need to get something, right?" I explained my situation, told her my story. She says, "Oh my gosh. It's okay, Mom. I didn't die in a fiery explosion, you know." So she picks me up. I call the tow truck place, the impound. "How much money do I need? Mom, can I borrow some money? I know I've got a job. I'll pay it back." "I know, Mom. I still owe you for that car." So she says, I can't bring you down to White Pigeon. That's like 2.5 hours away, you know? And I called the guy at White Pigeon. He says, "Yeah, we're closed for the weekend. So you got about, 3 hours. 3 hours, bring me $110 or get it on Monday." Oh my gosh. I call my friend Goofy. "Goof, bro, I need you. I need you so bad. I got to get down to White Pigeon. I got to go fast." And if there's one thing about Goof, he loves to drive fast. So he and Barb, I'm in the back seat, we jump in his tiny little Ford Probe. A Ford Probe back in the day, it's kind of sporty, small, low to the ground. And he gets on 131, which is our highway, and we are floating like 110 miles an hour, 120 miles an hour. Traffic is moving aside for us, and I'm sitting in the back going, "Oh my freaking God." "Oh my God, Goof, please don't kill us." But he got us there, and I walked in like 5 minutes before they were about to close, put my money on the counter, got my key. "Thank you, sir." Cross my fingers because I need Bill's truck to start. Oh my gosh, it sounded kind of rough. Sputter, sputter, sputter. Probably didn't like having the fire retardant material in the gas line, but now I've got enough money to put gas in the tank. I can drive that truck all the way back up to Grand Rapids. I can get all my stuff, or some of my stuff, out of storage. You know, my bed, my desk, my furniture. I say hi to my mom. We have some dinner together, you know. I told her what happened, the story about how I stole money from my grandma. She says, "Yeah, I know." I guess what happened after I left was my dad finally stepped up, you know. He finally realized that Bishop's not taking care of my mom anymore. So he convinced her to move out of her house. He put her in an old folks home. I hoped that she was happy, but I didn't really want to deal with it. I didn't want to think about it. I just gave my mom a big hug. I told her I loved her. I told her I was sorry, and that I was going to try to send her some money, you know. Sunday, I jumped back in Bill's truck, fill it up with more gas, and now it's got my bed in the back of it. It's got my furniture. It's got some other stuff, my role-playing books. It's got my TV. And I drive it all the way back to Columbus. Tell Bill about the silly story. He's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." "Is my truck okay?" "I think so." I think so. I think what happened was this little plastic gas container, it had like a little plastic spout, and in between that spout and the container is a little, like a rubber seal, and maybe when I was fastening it, maybe I didn't tighten it enough, or maybe the seal was gone. I don't know. I still don't understand, but crazy story. Catching the roommate's truck on fire on the side of the road in White Pigeon. I will always remember that place. Yeah, every time I drive through there. Anyway, life was good for a while, you know. I had my bed, I had my computer, my TV, my Nintendo. I had a room I could smoke in. A little bit before Christmas, I called my mom and I said, hey, do you want me to, I could jump on a bus. I could probably try to come up there for, Christmas. Yes, please, Bishop. I don't want to spend Christmas without you. Are you sure? Is my dad going to get mad? Is my dad going to find me? Is my grandma going to get mad? No, it's okay. You're safe. Okay. I jumped on a bus Christmas Eve and I didn't pay attention to the ticket. Guys, there was a lot of stuff I just didn't pay attention to. I blame it on all the weed smoking, But my ticket was from Columbus, Ohio to Detroit, Michigan. And there in Detroit, there was like a 9 or a 10-hour layover overnight. And the next bus wasn't coming until like Christmas morning at like 11 a.m. So I'm there at like 9 p.m. and I call my mom and I'm like, Mom, I'm stuck. I'm in Detroit. I'm at the bus station. I'll be there in the morning sometime. She says, oh my gosh, Bishop. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm jumping in my car. I'm coming to get you. Through a blizzard, my mom drove across the state of Michigan just to get me out of that bus station. I remember I'd curled up and I'd fallen asleep on some metal bench. She walked in. It must have been, midnight. Come on, Bishop, we're going. Merry Christmas. So we spent the night in a hotel in a place called Novi. There's a fancy name, huh? Novi. And in the morning it was Christmas and it felt awkward, weird. I don't know. I didn't want to be the black sheep of the family, but when you steal from your grandma. It was a little weird seeing my little brother and my sister, and I would look across the street and see my grandma's house, and it was empty, and it was up for sale. I didn't know what to think. I didn't want to think about it, so I didn't. New Year's came, 1998. Woohoo! I was a new bishop, a new man. I had done it, and I was happy. I was living in Brother Bill's mom's place with Bill. I had just retrieved a bunch of stuff. Just came home from Christmas. And yeah, life was good. I remember I would, I watched all the TV. Like the first time I watched an episode of South Park, I watched a movie called The Fifth Element. I read books. There was a Dungeons and Dragons series. It was called Planescape. The Blood War trilogy. Excellent. Changed my view on things. Changed my view a bunch. I was writing stories too. Guys, I've always been like a storyteller. And one of my favorite stories to tell is the story of my life. So I would sit in this room in front of my computer many, many nights and just type. Write about my parents, write about Amanda, write about Florida and Kathy and Mandy. One of my favorite stories. In February, Valentine's Day, I didn't have a Valentine, and this was like the first time in probably 4 or 5 years. I remember the previous Valentine's Day with Mandy, and then the 3 or 4 before I was with Amanda, so it felt a little weird, to be alone. First time alone for Valentine's Day. But I didn't let it bring me down. I was happy. Yep. My roommate, Brother Bill, he found himself a Valentine. There was a woman from his past. Her name was Danielle. Danielle was part of the Friends group, and I don't know if she had her own motorcycle. Maybe she was what they call like a passenger princess. So she just rode on the back of other people's motorcycles. But she and Bill got together. They went out for dinner. They had their Valentine's Day. I shook her hand. Older, blonde, kind of a big woman. Big smile though, Then my little car died. My old Honda Civic. I guess I had asked a little too much of her. I mean, she did drive Mandy and I up and down Grand Rapids to Columbus, probably 3, maybe even 4 times. I never did fix the windshield wipers. She was a good car. I ended up getting another job too. I kept driving by this help wanted sign. It was right across the street from the Value City warehouse where I was working. So I went in one day, I filled out the application, and I got hired. It was a security guard. Columbus, Ohio is there's a big airport, and a whole lot of overseas goods gets flown into Columbus, Ohio. So they have a lot of warehouses where customs inspections are performed. My job was to sit in a security guard shack, and every time a semi-trailer brought a new container, I would get up, I would go and put a little barcode magnet on the side of this truck, shoot it with my scanner gun, enter in the time, the day, everything. It was boring work, but it was so much less physically intensive than the job across the street where Brother Bill was still slaving and bending over and doing all his stuff. But Brother Bill qualified for the Social Security. Oh my gosh! They sent him a paper check. It was like $3,000, $3,600, something like that. It was like back pay or something. And he was supposed to start getting more checks for disability. I was like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. So he quit his job. I was still able to use his pickup truck to go back and forth to work. And from where we were at, the north part of Columbus, my job was way down the south part of Columbus. So life was good. I don't know. I was writing my stories, reading books, watching the telly. My mom and my little brother actually came to visit me. I think it was my birthday. I was turning 22. My mom and my brother drove all the way down. We went to a local bar. We played some pool. I played some video games with him. It was good to see him again, you know. It felt like all was forgiven, or at least understood. That's probably the best I could have hoped for, right? Understood. And then over the course of that spring and summer, I don't know, I got bored one day. I said, Bill, is it cool if I talk to Danielle? You know, I'm not looking for anything. I certainly don't want love. But she seemed like a cool chick, and Bill didn't seem to have anything to do with her. Like after the Valentine's date that they went on, that was the end. It was game over. I don't know what happened. I didn't ask. Oh yeah, sure, Bishop, yeah. You want to ride my bicycle? I don't know how to answer that. Like, the way I felt about Mandy was so different than Danielle. Danielle was kind of just a friend, sometimes benefits. But to me, she was just a cool person, somebody to hang out with, you know? I remember we went camping, and that was kind of cool. I had never been camping in Ohio before. So I grabbed my little stereo, some CDs, and some cigarettes, some green. And Danielle and I went camping, you know? It was very much more relaxed. I was not going to fall in love again. And this was an older woman. I don't know. Woo! It's cold again. Oh my gosh, it's cold. I'm going to blow away. Pretty much whenever I was able, I would make little trips, little weekend getaways to Grand Rapids, you know. Every time I would ask about Mandy, I would look up Barb or Goof. Hey, how's Mandy doing? Well, she's good. She's okay. They didn't seem to know much, and it was heartbreaking because I saw that Barb and Goof were still together, you know. Barb had her boyfriend, so that sort of pushed Mandy out of the picture, I think. And Mandy was off trying to do her own thing, and here I was like, girl, I still want you. I still love you. Like, I know, it's kind of silly. On one of these trips, though, I had printed out my life story up to this point. I know, I was only 22. But I was giving it to people to let them see, you know. I gave a copy to my mom. I even left a copy on the coffee table for Brother Bill. And I drove away, and I thought, you know, maybe that's not such a good idea, because in this life story, there was my confession, you know. Here's how I stole from my grandma. And by the way, it was only about a year ago, less than a year ago. So was I a thief? Maybe. It was, I don't know, it was tricky because I wanted to share my life. And I guess it just I didn't have enough explanation. It didn't carry enough weight. So a couple weeks later, I'm off camping with Danielle. I come home and Bill's waiting for me at the back door. Oops. Lost my microphone there. So a couple weeks later, I'm off camping with Danielle again, and I come home and Bill greets me at the door. What'd you do with my money? I said, Bill, I don't know what you're talking about, man. Like, this was a regular thing. Bill would lose his razor blade. What happened to my razor blade? Oh, it's okay. Look, you dropped it down here. It fell down by the sink, when you were shaving. Bishop, what happened to my tomahawk pipe? Bishop, Bill, it's okay. It slid underneath the couch. He was always misplacing things, What happened to my bottle? I had my bottle, Bishop. Bill, I think you drank it. It's gone. You tossed it in the trash. So this, again, was just something I figured he misplaced, It was his envelope of money from his disability. It was $3,000. But after my confession, whoa, that was some slippery ice. After my confession about stealing from my grandma, it was all too easy for Bill to assume that I had done it, and I had no defense. Bill, you must have misplaced it. Bill, did you bring that girl from the bar home last night? Did you show it to her? His medication, the alcohol, the weed. I was just stunned. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. I said, Bill, I swear, I didn't take your money. I wouldn't do it. But hard to convince somebody when they want to believe what they want to believe. So he kicked me out. He told me, you're not getting back in my house. You're gone, Bishop. It's time to go. And I begged and I pleaded and I told him I would do anything, please don't do this. But the writing was on the wall. I lost everything. Everything in that little room. My computer, my role-playing game books, my bed, my clothes, the tarot cards that Amanda had given me, the knife that Amanda had given me. Guys, I had VHS videos, like videos of my house with Amanda, with all of our friends in my cool room. I had videos of our pets. I had videos that I had made with my mom's camcorder of my grandma sitting on her couch, telling me I need a haircut. All of this was lost, everything. I had my stereo, a handful of CDs, and the clothes on my back. No more vehicle, no borrowing Bill's truck. It was bad. I was homeless. Again, this time in Columbus. I didn't have too many options, like no cell phone. My credit card had long ago been filled up and canceled. I had no car and suddenly no home. So I walked. I walked over to Danielle's house. It was a couple miles. Carried my stereo, my stack of CDs, She had dropped me off at the back door and drove off. So when I showed up at her door about an hour later, she was a little surprised to see me, but I explained what happened. I said, Bill thinks that I stole from him. I didn't. Guys, I seriously didn't. I wouldn't have done that. Not to Bill, not in that scenario, not in that situation. So I assumed that he would come to his senses. He would find his money, his envelope that was under his bed next to his gun. And I called him and I said, Bill, I didn't do it, man. I swear I didn't do it. Can you look in all the places? Were you drinking last night? Did you hide it? Were you with somebody? All the scenarios. He did not want to hear it. He just wanted to be angry, and I guess I got it, you know. So I said, Danielle, can I stay with you for a couple days till this blows over? Maybe a week? I don't know, you know. She says, okay, sure. But I lost my job as a security guard because Danielle wasn't able to drive me all the way to the south and back. It was very much a point of starting over, you know, again. And I learned something about karma, right? Like I had stolen from my grandma, so less than a year later, everything was stolen from me. All of my most precious everythings. Like I said, guys, those videos, the home videos that I had taken with my mom's camcorder of things that could not be replaced, you know, and my computer. Like, how can you steal my computer? It was such a low point. Such a low point. Guys, let me see if I can do this real quick. Okay. So, my parents break up, separate, and during counseling, I am told that I have to be emotionally down, like way down. You got to be sad, Bishop. But I meet Amanda, and oh my gosh, way up. First love, first sex. You know, our house together, all my friends in the cool room. But then break up with Amanda. Down, down, down. Meet Kathy and escape to Kathy to Florida. Oh, way up. Ding. You know, that's awesome. But Kathy dies, and I'm homeless in Florida. Way down. Stuck in my dad's basement. Crashed my grandma's car. Down some more. But meet Mandy. Oh my gosh, Mandy. Up. Big up. And then to have my dad say, no, Mandy, you know, way down. Steal from my grandma. Way down. Start over in Columbus. Way up. Columbus. Yay, new life. And then to have Bill kicking me out like he did. Oh my gosh, way down. Guys, I've had more ups and downs than like the stock market. Okay, wait. So I gotta say that I am not a financial advisor. I do not give financial advice, and on my channel we only do paper trading. If I don't say that part, the little robot at YouTube, he gets a little upset, you know. So paper trading, little robot, I told the humans, I told them, okay, we're good. Please don't flag me. Who's a good little robot? Yes, you are. You're a good little robot. We love you. Please don't destroy us all. I told myself that I would never steal again. You know, karma is real. Whatever I stole wasn't going to be worth the retaliation that the universe would give me on this weird teeter-totter roller coaster thing, you know? As the days and weeks went on, I called Bill. I tried talking to his mother. I tried everything, guys. Living with Danielle was not a good scenario. We were good as friends with the occasional benefits, but, you know, living with someone, she had an older son. So I knew I had to do something. I started looking for work. I started walking, putting in applications, and I managed to find a job at like an HVAC warehouse. HVAC stands for like heating, air conditioning, venting, furnaces, air conditioners. I don't know the other letters. HVAC. And I was a delivery driver. They let me drive a big old box truck. I think this thing was like 24 feet long. Big old box truck. I don't know, it was a start, you know, it was a way to earn some money real quick, and I kind of enjoyed it. Driving this monster mobile through the streets of Columbus, I would go to various construction sites. You know, an apartment building was being built, they needed furnaces, ductwork, you know, all the parts and pieces. One of my coworkers at this place, his name was Richard. He was kind of my age, really cool black guy. I instantly bonded with him, and I was like, hey man, I'm stuck with this woman. And I still respected her. I still, you know, I don't want to say anything bad about her, but I learned over the course of a month or two that Danielle liked to smoke the crack. And it wasn't like a regular thing, you know, it was just only when this one old friend stops by, then she'd smoke the crack. I didn't want to be around it. I certainly didn't want to try it. You know, I know better. So my coworker, Richard, I said, hey, you know, do you know anybody that's got like a room for rent? He says, oh, actually, the place I'm staying at right now, yeah, you know, guy just moved out. No way. What are you talking about? So I went and I looked it up, and sure enough. So Richard and I mean, we worked at the same job, starting and stopping at the same time, and he's got a room for rent, and it's got a waterbed in it. Like, oh my gosh, like the universe, I couldn't figure this one out, but it sort of fell into my lap. So I was quick to leave Danielle, gave her a hug, told her good luck, girl. You got to quit the crack. Like, crack equals bad. And I moved in, and it was weird because Richard's house was way down south Columbus. And suddenly my new job was way up north. Oh, okay. Maybe not perfect, universe, but you know, I'll take it. I didn't have much though. I saved up a little bit of money. I bought a new a Ford LTD. It was like a brown. I think I paid $400 for it. And yeah, I'd go to the library. I'd rent books. I'd rent CDs of music, just crazy music, old stuff, classical stuff I didn't know. And I'd sit in my waterbed in my room, try to smoke the occasional green. Life went by, you know? Life went by. Richard, he was a very cool guy, and he quickly became my new best friend, you know? We worked together, we lived in the same house. The owner of the house, his name was Fred. Fred worked third shift, so we didn't see him too often, maybe here or there on the weekends. And yeah, Richard and I don't know, he didn't smoke the green, but he liked his alcohol, and he introduced me to an alcohol called brandy. Do you guys know brandy? Richard used to say, hey, Bishop, you need to forget about everything. Here's some brandy. And oh my gosh, he would get me smash wasted. I don't know if I can find the picture. I was puking my guts out one night, and Richard came along and thought it was so hilarious that he had to take a picture of it. Of course. That's what besties do for each other, right? He didn't bother to hold my hair. He was like, you got this, Bishop. I think it was April 1999. I was 23 years old, and my mom called me, and you know, after she had come to visit me in Columbus, we were sort of okay. It was like the dust had settled. I wasn't too sure about my dad. My mom says, Bishop, your grandma passed away. And I remember her voice on the phone when it was Kathy. And this time, I think we were all just sort of relieved, you know. Grandma had she finally went home. So I said, oh my gosh, I got to come to her funeral. You know, I'll be there. I'll jump on the bus tomorrow. So I returned to Grand Rapids for my grandma's funeral. Saw my dad. Told him I was sorry. I think he understood. I guess he didn't really want to hear it at that point, you know. My grandma had been in the old folks' home for maybe a year, maybe 6 months, 9 months. I don't really remember. I hope that she had made some friends and that the end of her life was good, you know. I loved my grandma, but yeah, like some sort of relief, I guess. Is that the best way to, you know, it was still awkward. It just sucks when they die. But I went after attending her funeral, after I gave her a kiss on her forehead as she laid in that casket, and I got my other nipple pierced. And I knew what had happened with the other nipple with Kathy, so I went afterwards and I got something called a spacer. It's almost like a little dragon tooth. It starts out real skinny on one end and then it gets fatter so that you can expand the hole so that your nipple ring doesn't come out one day and you can't get it back in. See, Bishop's got experience points. But to this day, I still carry my Grammy around in my left nipple. She's always with me. If ever I need to feel her, I give her a little twist there, right above my heart. There you are, Grammy. I love you. I hope you're good. In June of '99, I got another phone call. This time it was Barb. She was still with Goofy. I kept in touch with Barb and Goof, you know, they were some of my closest friends. They felt like a family to me. And I was always asking about Mandy, you know, how's Mandy doing? Is she ready to come to Columbus yet? At this point, I had been in Columbus for about 2.5 years. I guess I'd kind of let it go. She'd probably let it go. But Barb's voice on the other end of the phone, she says, hey, I'm kind of stuck. I'm struggling. Goofy and I, we can't make rent. It's hard to have a job. We're always smoking the green and we're about to be homeless. So I was just wondering, Bishop, do you have a little bit of extra money? Can you give me some money? You know? And I said, Barb, I'm sorry, but I'm kind of struggling too, you know? I've got a piece of crap car. I'm working kind of a crappy job. I don't have much. But I'm intrigued. Now, Barb, what's up with your mother? What's going on? Oh, my mom passed away. Oh, well, okay. Barb, don't you have like an inheritance? Like, Barb says, well, my mom, because she was smart, she put our inheritance in a trust fund. I said, what's that? She says, well, it's like a secret spot in this bank. And I can't have any of it. I can't touch any of it until I'm 25 years old. And I was like, wow, 25 years old. How old are you now, Barb? Well, I just turned 21. Oh, okay, but you're homeless and you don't have a job and Barb, what's going on? So I talked to her for a little bit longer. And I don't know, I loved her. I loved her like a little sister, you know? And when they cry out and say, Bishop, I need you, the Aries inside of me is quick to grab my sword, grab my shield. I'm running out the door. I got to go slay the dragon. I got to go save this princess. So, I don't know. I sort of looked around. I looked at Richard. I said, man, I just got to go. I got to go help out Barb. I think I'm just going to bail. I'm going to go back to Grand Rapids for a little while. You know, guys, I had been down there for, like I said, 2.5 years. It was really hard to make friends because when you go to a new town, a new city, and you don't know anybody, like there's this weird suspicion. Why did you leave everything that you knew, Bishop? Why did you come here where you know nobody? You know, you don't have any family, you don't have any friends. So I would bump into people that I thought would be my gang and just didn't work, you know? But here was Barb, and it was like my old gang, they came calling. So I had to listen, I had to respond. I quit my job. I sold my piece of shit car for like $400 just so I could get a bus ticket. Told Richard goodbye, you know, I'll look you up, okay? I didn't have much, you know, I had started over after leaving Bill's. So after a couple days journey, I returned to Grand Rapids. Crazy how life works, huh? So let me do a little recap for a second, okay? So from the age, I don't know, about 16, when my parents separated, until about 23 in Columbus, I had 9 different residences, 9 different places that I had called home. And this doesn't count my first house in the UP, where I was, you know, age 0 through 4. It also doesn't count the time I was homeless in Florida. So 9 different residences in about 6 years, 7 years. I had 11 different vehicles. A lot of them, they just broke down, you know. I would save up $300-400. I would buy a broken car, basically, for $500. And it might last a month. I don't know. Yeah, 9 different residences and 11 vehicles. I had 14 jobs. That's the fun stat right there. 14 jobs. Yeah. Sometimes I'd just get bored. I'd quit. I think I quit 10 of them, you know. Twice was the car accident. I was doing the print shop when the tow truck hit me, and then the pizza delivery job. One job I got fired from when I accidentally bumped an old lady with my forklift. That sounds worse than it was. Trust me, it was a very small bump. And then the one job that it was like kind of my current. So it felt really difficult to like invest in my life, you know, because so much change, so many different cars and jobs and homes. And it always felt like this one's going to change too. This car is going to break down. You're going to have this accident. You know, this always happens, Bishop. This little ticking time bomb from my childhood. So, just tough, you know. The whole time I was in Columbus, I thought I had escaped it all. I thought I had ran far enough away. But in the end, I think what I learned was that the thing I was running away from the most was myself. Guys, I want to say a huge thank you. Huge thank you. I did not expect my crazy videos about my stories to have an audience. I really didn't. In the beginning, I just wanted to see what I could do. So to see your comments and to see the number of views, it just, guys, it means so much to me, you know? So a huge thank you. I'm giving you all a big hug. But I do want to say a special shout out to what has become my regulars, okay? You make me feel so much less alone. And in this day and age, when we all are feeling alone and bored and the world has gotten crazy, right? You guys sort of keep me grounded. So I hope I'm not mispronouncing anything too badly. Barbara Doy, maybe? Thank you. Jennifer L. Kirsten, big thank you. Nikki Rocks, and the guy who plays bass. I love you all. I don't know you, and I want you to share your story because I want to see who you are. So leave me more comments. Send me an email, okay? I love getting emails. I love chatting with people. Until next time, it's cold again.